What is up, my Shadowverse soldiers, and welcome back to another Shadowverse Evolve video. Alright soldiers, in today's video we are going to be going over the Runecraft reveals that are coming out in set 7 this upcoming Friday. I'm very excited to see what the Runecraft version of Machina looks like. And without missing a beat, we have Tetra Sapphire Rebel, so she's a 3-cost 3/3. You can evolve from one, but when she comes into play you put a repair mode into the EX area. Alright, and starting off with our first Machina card. So if you paid attention in the last video, we were talking about the Mono Machina and how it uses bots and stuff like that. So I'm really interested in how Runecraft is going to incorporate bots into their deck. Alright, and looking at repair mode, it's a 1-cost quick spell token card, so quick, add 1 to your leader's health. Alright, so in my days of playing Runecraft, I know there's going to be a way to make this card free, or to be able to play this a whole bunch of times to make the healing matter. And then we have Tetra Evolve, so she turns into a 4/4, and as long as this card is on your field, when you play a Machina card from your EX area, you subtract 1 from its cost. Up to 4 times per turn when you play Machina cards, you can choose a follower in the enemy field and deal 1 damage to it. Alright, when using the Tetra Evolved ability, so you can make that repair mode that you put into the EX area from your unevolved form for free, and then with this evolved ability, we can use it up to 4 times to start dealing damage to followers on the field while also healing 1 if you're using a repair mode. Alright, and next up we have Baphomet, Lord of Iollon. So he's a 7-cost 5/5. He has Rush, and at the start of your end phase, you give all your other Machina followers on the field +1/+1. And then when he comes into play, fanfare, look at the top 5 cards of your deck. From among them, you may put any number of Machina followers with an original cost totaling up to 6 or less onto the field, and you put the rest of the mom of your deck in any order. Alright, so I think this is a pretty good boss monster, so as long as this guy survives until the end of turn, he's going to be buffing up your Machina followers. And then the Machina followers that you're going to be getting off the top 5 are going to be getting their fanfares effects too, so I think this is pretty solid. Alright, and next up we have Riley Hydro Shaman, so she's a 3-cost 3/4. When she comes into play Fanfare Earthright, you can choose one of the following. If this card comes into the field from the graveyard, you can choose up to 3 instead. You can either 1, choose a follower in the enemy field and deal 5 damage to it. 2, this card gets +3 attack. 3, draw 2 cards, and then with her activate ability, you can spend 6 play points to put this card into the field from your graveyard, and this card gets Storm, and last words banish this card. Alright, so it looks like when you only play her for 3, you're only going to use your Earthright stack to only get 1 of these 3 abilities, but when you use the activate, you can spend 6 and get all 3 of them when using the Earthright. And then she also has Storm, so she'll be swinging for 6 Storm, drawing you 2 cards, and then dealing 5 to a follower. Alright, and next up we have Eleanor Cosmic Flower, so she's a 2-cost 2/2. You can evolve from 1, but when she comes into play, you discard a spell card from her hand, and then you draw a card. Alright, so we have a spell chain version of Craig. I'm excited to see that. I wonder what this evolve looks like. Alright, and looking at the Eleanor evolve, so she turns into a 3/3, but on evolve you search for a Splendid Conjury from your deck and put it into the EX area, and then spell chain this turn. When you play that card, subtract 2 from its cost. Alright, so in the early game, if you don't have the spell chain, 10 is going to go ahead and get a spell card and put it into your EX area, so deck thinning is deck winning, so that might be really good. And then if you have the spell chain 10, when you already have like developed a whole bunch of spells into your graveyard, you can go ahead and get the spell card and then also play it. Alright, and moving on, we have Delta Cannon, so it's a 1-cost quick spell. So when a Tetra Sapphire Rebel comes onto the field, you can use 1 play point and put this card from your graveyard into the EX area. And then its ability is quick, choose a follower in the enemy field and deal 2 damage to it. Alright, so not only is this card a snipe, it's a fancy snipe, so as long as you are using the legendary in your deck and you have it on field, you can get it out of your graveyard and put it to your EX area. And with the evolved Tetra Sapphire Rebel, you can use this card for free, and it can deal 3 damage. Alright, and then we have Displacer Bot, so he's a 3-cost 3/2. You can evolve him for 2, and he has Ward, but when he comes into play Fanfare, look at the top 4 cards of your deck. From among them, you may put a Machina card into your EX area and put the rest of the bottom of your deck in any order. Alright, so this is going to be one of the cards that you're going to be using to get cards into your EX area, so hopefully one of the cards you hit is a Delta Cannon. So you can deal that 3 damage and then, you know, start moving on forward from there. But there may be some other Machina cards you want to put into your EX area. Alright, looking at the bot evolve, so it turns into a 4/3 and it still has Ward, but on evolve you choose a follower on the enemy field and deal damage to it equal to twice the number of Machina cards in your EX area. Alright, so this is going to be an interesting card to be using with your deck. It's very nice on the unevolved form to go ahead and put in cards into your EX area, you know, filtering through your deck for some Machina cards or whatever situation needs. But you're also going to be dealing damage on his evolved side by doing twice the number of cards in your EX area, dealing a total of 10, and then like I guess a minimum of 2. And then next up we have Mechanized Life Form. So it's a 2 cost 3/1, and once per turn when you play a Machina card, you draw a card, and then when it comes to play Fanfare, put a repair mode into your EX area. So a lot of these cards are featuring around this legendary and working around it. So when you play any card, like a spell card or anything like that, as long as it's Machina, you can draw a card, and then putting that repair mode as a token card, and then, you know, healing with the quick spell and it being free with the legendary is absolutely nice. Alright, and then we have Splendid Conjury, so it's a 2 cost spell. You can choose up to 3 followers on the enemy field and distribute 3 damage between them. If there's an Eleanor Cosmic Flower on your field, you distribute 5 instead. Alright, so the one thing I think Rune does struggle with in the early game is if you put down multiple bodies and they don't have the answer to it. So Splendid Conjury is a pretty nice card if your opponent has like multiple bodies on the field, and then when having the character on the field, distributing 5 between 3 different followers is pretty good. Alright, and we have Mecha Staff Sorcerer, so it's a 2 cost 2/2. When it comes into play Fanfare, you put an Assembly Droid or a Repair Mode into your EX area. You can also activate by engaging this card and banishing a Machina card from your EX area. You can choose a follower on the enemy field and deal damage to it equal to the number of Machina cards in your EX area. Alright, so with this card, you're going to be putting an Assembly Droid or Repair Mode into your EX area, which is going to be the token cards that you need for your Legendary. And then also engaging this card by getting rid of one of the Machina cards that you might not be needing in the moment. You can go ahead and deal damage to whatever follower you need for the number of cards in your EX area. But moving on, we have Prototype Warrior, so it's a 1 cost 2/1. When it comes into play, you can choose one of the following. You can either 1, put an Assembly Droid into your EX area, or 2, if there are 3 or more Machina cards in your EX area, this gets +1/+1 and Rush. Alright, so as soon as I saw this card, all I thought of was just an aggro piece for aggro rune. You know, there's a build out there, I know there is. But for the Machina deck, it's pretty nice to put an Assembly Droid into your EX area to just, you know, get 1 card here and then 1 card there. But there's also multiple situations where you might have in the late game where you need to get rid of a pesky follower before you start going in. So having your EX area full of Machinas will get you that second ability for you to just swing into like maybe a ward. And speaking of Assembly Droid, so it's a 1 cost 1/1. You can activate by engaging this card and putting 3 Machina followers from your field to the graveyard. You can choose an enemy follower in the field and deal it 5 damage. Using cards like this when using our Tetra Legendary is going to be pretty situational. So we're going to play this card and then we're going to deal 1 damage to a follower, and then we're going to have to bury 3 Machina followers to deal a total of 5 to one thing. There's certain situations where a combo like that might need to come up. Alright, and next up we have Magi Blade Witch. So she's a 2 cost 2/2 and you can evolve her for 1. And looking at the Witch evolve, so she turns into a 3/3, but on evolve you choose one of the following. You either 1, put a magic sentiment onto the field, or 2, Earthright, choose up to 2 followers on the enemy field and distribute 4 damage between them. Alright, so not that bad, especially for the Earthright ability to choose 2 followers and distribute 4 damage to them, because you know in the early game your opponent's really going to be playing a lot of aggro pieces. So this might be a good answer to aggro. Alright, and next up we have Presto Changeo, so it's a 2 cost spell. You choose a card on the enemy field and their player puts it to the bottom of their deck. They may put a follower or an amulet from their hand onto the field. Alright, so personally I don't like giving my opponent free cards, but I think this has to be a pretty memey card. If there's a situation where this might come up, please let me know in the comments below, but I think this is a meme card. Alright, and lastly we have Sagacious Core, so it's a 1 cost amulet. So when it comes into play Fanfare, look at the top 2 cards of your deck. From among them, you may put a Machina card into your hand, put the rest of the bottom of your deck in any order, and you can also activate by engaging this card and putting this card into your graveyard. You deal 1 damage to all enemy leaders, and this effect can only be used if you have 3 or more Machina cards in your EX area. I want to pay attention to the fact that every single class has a card like this that lets you look at the top 2 from Machina cards, and they have a wonderful ability by removing themselves and not using extra play points by doing whatever unique ability that they have, while Rune has his ability to just deal 1 damage to an enemy leader is pretty cool. Alright, and lastly we have our Hydro Shaman UR. So this alternate looks absolutely amazing. I can only imagine what it looks like in person. Just being able to play this card and then getting it out of your graveyard for 6 play points and then having those abilities is pretty amazing. But alright soldiers, that is the end of the video. Thank you so much for watching. I am looking forward to set 7. We are slowly counting down the days until set 7 is in our hands. I hope everyone is having a decent time building their decks and whatnot. I'm very excited to play Rune in this new version of Earthright with this new card. I'm looking forward to it. But alright soldiers, be safe in whatever you do tonight, and be safe whatever you do for the rest of the year. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.
Yeah, TRINN, just to get you away. What I got to do, what I got to do, just to get you away. What I got to do, what I got to do, just to get you away. You pull me too close, now we hesitate. Every single move you make, it makes me feel